All right, Jason, go for it.
Hello, Facebook land, and of course, people on the podcast that might be listening to this in the next couple days. I am the great Jason Lavelle, the cat whisperer and the pug whisperer, of course. And this is Spilling Ink Live. We are the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and artists in the publishing industry. And we have a big lineup for you tonight, starting with the great Captain Trainwreck. Hello, Captain Trainwreck.
Hello, I'm here to wreck everything tonight, as is my luck.
Then just below me here, we have Agent Borne. Good evening.
Evening.
Excellent.
From an undisclosed location.
Of course. Although I see a nice bifold behind him there. We could do some detective work and figure out where he is. And then we have PJ MacLayne. How are you, PJ?
I am good. Hello, everybody.
Hi. And then, of course, Miss Rowena Ravenclaw. Hello. Well, it's Rowena Rede, right?
Yes, but I am officially a Ravenclaw, so it's all right.
All right, then we're good. And this is the show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please remember to click like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
All right, that was quick. We need to have some sound effects so we can do applause and whatnot.
Yes, we need that. Oh, that was pretty good, Agent Borne. I like
Did you
it.
get my voice clips that I sent you?
Well, I didn't listen to them because I thought they were accidents, because I do that on accident sometimes. They're actual messages?
It was like, I was thinking this time we could do an intro that was kind of like Lion King.
Oh.
This writer's block, it's so bad, I need help.
I love it. Oh, man, I wish I had heard those.
And then kind of like it's Spilling Ink, hosted by Jason Lavelle, Katie Salitis.
I like it. Oh, man, you've got a voice like an angel. All right, everybody else, let's sing too. Okay, PJ, go.
No. You don't want to hear me sing.
Nope.
I used to like to sing, but then I injured one ear, and now I'm half deaf in one ear, so I can't sing worth a hell of it.
Oh. Well, we've got a weird little echoey kind of thing going on. Katie, can you hear that, or is it just me?
I don't hear it.
Okay, good. Well, I think that we should start the show out tonight, Katie, before you get too distracted, by having everyone tell us a little bit about what they write.
That's always a good idea. Should we do Eeny, Miny, Mo, or should we just point to somebody real quick?
I say that you point to someone.
All right, hold on. We got to get the right.
Yeah, right.
Right directions here. And PJ.
Hi there. I actually am the author of two different series. One is a almost cozy mystery series starring my friend Harmony Dupree. And find the camera. This is the first book in the series called The Marques's Necklace. Harmony is somebody I would like to hang out with in real life, sit on her porch steps and drink iced tea with her. And then my other series is a urban fantasy paranormal. I don't call it paranormal romance because everybody, when you say romance, expects sex scenes, and I don't write sex scenes. There is sex in the story, but I don't take you into the bedroom. I do the whole closed bedroom door bit because I think most of the people who read my books know how it's done and don't need the details.
I love that cover.
I have. Isn't that my sister is actually my cover artist, and she does absolutely fantastic covers for me. This is the second in the series called Wolves Night, and then this is the third in the series called Wolves Gambit. And she is, she I give her an idea of what I'm looking for, and she can, this one here is 4 different pictures combined. I couldn't tell you where I know where the combination is because I know what it started out like, but if I'm looking at it, I have no idea what she's done to make her magic happen, but she does a great job for me. Thanks, Karen.
Now,
Nice.
what is the story behind the titles with all the wolves? What's the significance of wolves?
Well, my books feature wolf shifters. There are other kinds of shifters in the book, but you miss the really good part. Finding Wolf's Pawn, Wolf's Knight, and Wolf's Gambit. They're chess terms, and so I make a reference to some sort of chess move in all of the books.
Oh.
So there is a underlying theme, although unlike my mystery series where you really need to read the books in order because there's a strong underlying story arc, each of the books in the urban fantasy series can be read as a standalone book. There's a very vague underlying story arc, but it's not enough to detract from reading the books on an individual basis.
Very cool. Chess terms, huh? I would not have made that connection in 1,000 years. Well, I haven't played chess since I was probably 10 years old. I probably should try that again. Yeah.
It's been a long time since I played chess too. So, but I used to be fairly good at it.
Oh, did we lose Katie again? I don't see her down here anywhere. Oh, all right. Well, Agent Borne, why don't you take it away for us? If I can. Oh, I've got a cat sitting on my screen. Oh, there she is. She's back. She's back. All right. Well, Agent Borne, take it away. Tell us what you do.
All right. Well, it's been alluded to before in other interviews, but I sell the laundry boards there. No. I'm the Canadian author of a sci-fi superhero spy series called The Ultimate Agent. That's book number 1 right there. I've gone on and written number 2 in the series as well. And then I was rewriting book 3 and I thought, you know what? I'm kind of getting stuck here, but I want to write something else. So I decided I'm going to introduce my superheroes to some monsters, myths, legends, and cryptids. And so I've done so far the UA classified Bigfoot files. I've done the Mothman files, which that's where Rowena Rede is from, Point Pleasant. She gave me a lot of helpers on that. I've also done the Loch Ness files. And then the newest one that just released this week, if you can get a good shot of that, the Michigan Dogman files. So it's kind of like the wolf thing going on there, but not quite. And what's interesting is Rowena Rede was my co-writer on that book. We introduced a new character that is absolutely amazing.
Hi.
Hi. So
Go ahead.
no, go. You go ahead. I'm trying to keep the cat off my headphones here.
So, like Derek said, I co-authored the Michigan Dogman Files. It's my first publication. Before that, I kind of dabbled in the fringes as a book blogger, a beta reader, a critique partner, and a developmental editor. So I guess helping Derek, we kind of riffed off each other. Then I mentioned, oh, hey, I'd like to write a spy character. And he was like, well, hey, he'd fit really good into this story. Do you want to team up? And I was like, sure. And that's kind of all it is about me right now.
We had a lot of fun doing the co-writing. I'd never done co-writing before, so I was very happy to bring Rowena Rede on.
That's awesome, and congratulations on your first publication, Rowena. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, this is where we need our round of applause sound effect. Dang it.
Oh yeah, we can all do it though. We can all do it. Yeah.
We've got a question come in from the audience too.
Oh yeah. What? And you know what? I can't see comments anymore, Katie. What is going on with that?
No. What do you mean you can't see comments?
It's gone. It's just disappeared.
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know.
Something's going funky here.
Oh, for urban fantasy, how much romance in a subplot do you put in? That's a good question.
And the follow-up, not just for urban fantasy, but for all of the authors.
Can I answer too, Julia? I'll wait for everybody else.
Can I go first?
You go first,
The
PJ.
The amount of romance I put in varies from book to book. The first book I set out to put romance, so it is beyond the romance. In my urban fantasy book. In the subsequent books, there was less dependence upon the romance part. It was more because what I say is I write action with a touch of romance, because romance is not the primary point of the story, but it adds a flavor to the story that I think adds to the plot in general, especially when there's competing factions. And I tend to not wrap up my romance till the very end of the book. So in this book, you don't even get the satisfaction of knowing who she's going to get or who's going to fall for her until the last chapter. So I keep you dangling on the romance part. I wrap up the action before I wrap up the romance. In my mystery series, it's a continuing thing. So the romance almost started in the first book. You didn't find out the real, it didn't get until the very end of the book, literally the last 5 pages. And that's an on the series about it's a long distance relationship, and that makes it much harder to write the romance if the characters aren't necessarily together.
Is anyone else having a tough time hearing PJ, or a little bit? Okay, I was okay. Julia says garbled. Okay, okay. I was thinking maybe it's my internet connection because things are wonky over here at my place, but so I got the gist of what you were saying, PJ. But yeah, I don't think it's your proximity to the computer. I think maybe it was just a weird internet thing going on there. So
could be the same thing that keeps kicking me off too.
Yeah, and I keep getting a notification that we're no longer connected to our Facebook stream, so it must be a funky internet deal going on. So sorry about that, anybody participating and listening or watching. We do apologize for that.
Technology is great when it works.
It was. So this was our question from Julia Allen. For urban fantasy or authors in general, how much romance in a subplot do you put in? So, Derek, I'm interested to hear your take on this because you write superhero fiction. Do you add in romance to your novels?
I do, because when I originally wrote The Ultimate Agent at 14, I did have some romance in there, but
was it about a teacher?
No.
What was it? Teenage romance? All that angsty love?
Yeah, it's just I had no idea what I was doing though at that point. So then when I was older, like closer to 30, when I rewrote it, I still kept the romance in there. But I've had one of the first reviewers that wrote something on Goodreads basically said, I didn't realize a superhero book could rely so much on sweet romance, but that is part of the mythos of how this one character becomes the character. So there's a fair bit in that, but once I get into the little short stories that go between the first and second main novel, I touch on a little bit because there's a marriage that's about to happen in book 2. So there's these little things like, they're just about to pick flowers or, get their suits and all this stuff and just kind of weave that through there in that way too. Not much, but just a little bit.
Now, Miss Ravenclaw, what do you think? How much romance belongs in a fantasy? Or wait, it wasn't fantasy or urban fantasy. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
In any genre, really.
So by definition, an urban fantasy more plot driven with romance as a subplot, I've understood. And so as I'm working on series in the future, the characters I have, that's how it is. There's romance, but it's not the main focus. There'll be comments, maybe affection, things like that, but it's not really going to be the main focus. The main focus is going to be the adventure. So that's my take on it.
Well, now, Captain Trainwreck, you are a writer of all sorts of fantasy. So, and I've read many of your books. So I already kind of know how you write romance into things, but I'm really curious to hear your take on this question and how you develop things.
Well, kind of like what Rowena said. It depends on what the genre of the book is. If it's a book that's meant to be romance, obviously it's going to have a lot more of the romance in it, more of the connection, the relationships, not just the physical connections, but the emotional connections. If it's an urban fantasy, which is relying more on the action and the adventure, there's still the relationship of characters that's in there, and developing characters, showing that relationship is part of it, but it's in the backdrop. It's not the primary focus. So depending on which book I'm writing will depend on how much I allow that focus to be shifted. And for the most part lately, it's been the action and adventure rather than any lovey-dovey stuff.
And for me, I think, and Julia, who asked this question, has now read a fair amount of my little stories because she's a editor for the publisher that's publishing my new book. Julie asked another question. I put in a little bit because real life has relationships, but I don't want to be confused with PNR. I completely agree, Julia. In fact, I probably would not put in romance if I could help it, but it's completely dependent on what the point of the story is. You know, my story, Whispers in the Shadow, is all about a woman named Delia who falls in love with a woman named Alice. And so there has to be romance in that story because that is the point of the story. My other book, The Cold Room, there was a romance in that if I could take it out and have the book still be the same, I totally would, because I feel like I don't like the romantic element. I wanted it to be more paranormal, more horror, and less cutesy romance. But I've had numerous readers comment on how they love the cute romance. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, but I am not a big romance guy. You know, if I'm using romance or sex in a book, it's usually to manipulate my characters or advance the plot in a direction that I want it to go. And I think that some people in real life may do something similar to that, which is rather unfortunate. But, you know, in my books, I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't get a whole lot of romantic gushing out. Now, I am writing one right now that will have a nice love story, but in my head, it's still a horror book. And the love story is just going to be like there in the dustbin or something like that. I don't know. I don't know.
That too, where the term paranormal has lost its original meaning, where people initially they used to equate paranormal with ghosts and goblins and exorcisms and all that kind of stuff, and now paranormal immediately makes you think paranormal romance, which is the softer, more romantic, modern stories.
Exactly. And unless it's written by a friend of mine like Captain Trainwreck, I won't pick up a paranormal romance novel because I'm not interested in that type of fiction. It's not what I read. I will pick up a paranormal story, a story about possession or demons or something creepy like that. But now I have no idea what to expect. So I just got to go by whatever the cover looks like. Okay, well, it's creepy hand coming out of a grave.
Supernatural thriller. I think that's the new one that seems to work as far as telling people what they're expecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to ask, because I came in late, but who gave you the nickname, Katie?
Oh, it's actually from one of my characters.
Oh, okay. All right.
Jeez, Agent Borne, way to know your stuff, man.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go home.
It's so fitting, though. It's so fitting.
Well, so we were talking about. I'm going to jump right back to. Oh man, I should not have leaned on that mic stand. That was awkward. Sorry. So before we started out, PJ was talking about one of her characters that she's writing, and how he's a bad guy, but not really a bad guy. And I wanted to talk to her a little bit about that. Could you rehash what you were saying to us, PJ?
Well, The character I'm talking about, his name is Jake. Can you guys hear me?
Bad
Okay.
guy. So bad.
Bad
Yes,
guy.
I can hear you, but Jake, that's a bad guy name.
Yeah, well, he started out by breaking my heroine's heart, and he may or may not be a gentleman jewel thief. We wrote him as one, but the evidence to that effect is extremely coincidental and can't be proved in a court of law. But he's also risked his life a couple of times to save Harmony, my main character. So you've got this major contradiction where he is still in love with her, although she's in love with somebody else now. Turns out she's in love with his cousin. So makes life really interesting. But, he's taken a bullet for her, and he's, helped her take down a couple of bad guys. And so, but I just have a feeling that he's going to break her heart again. And he's off in the book I'm writing right now. He's not put in the book yet because I'm trying very hard to write him out of the book. I have a feeling he's off pulling something that she doesn't want to know about. I tried to write a prequel about how the two of them met from his point of view, and it didn't happen because he didn't want to tell me his secrets. He would have had to reveal his secrets if I wrote it from his point of view. And so I had 4 false starts on writing that, and I switched over to Harmony's point of view when it wrote. I could not write it from his point of view because he didn't want to tell me what he was thinking.
Okay.
So I have a feeling he's a bad guy. But he's masquerading as a good guy, so it makes life interesting.
Well, as a personal aside here, and I don't do personal stuff very often. You guys all know that. I typically stay away from that. Okay, so I know a man named Jake, abusive guy, beat up his kids, not a good person. So Jake, always bad in my head now. It's stuck there. And my ex-wife was Harmony. So I'm thinking both of these characters are actually bad guys, and that's why they're so perfect for each other.
No, Harmony is a very, very, very good person.
That's not possible.
She's an ex-librarian turned internet researcher.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so she's a very nice, very sweet, loving, kind person. She gives dogs treats and pets them, and she has more money than she knows what to do with. She lives in a 3rd floor apartment, that she rents for cheap because she doesn't want to spend her money. Yeah, she doesn't need to be a bad guy, because she's got more money than she knows what to do with. But she just lives like off her the money she earns. She's a very interesting character. I think she's got a touch of ODD or Asperger's or something, because she does things like count steps as she goes up them. She has a routine she follows. If she doesn't follow her routine, it's a disaster for her.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I have a suggestion for you, and this is not the first time I've made the suggestion on this show, but because it's about one of my favorite authors, and her name is Victoria Schwab, and she wrote a book called Vicious. And Vicious is it's a fantasy. I will call it urban fantasy only because there's magic and it takes place in the real world in cities. But it's not paranormal romance of any kind. But this is an amazing character study about good guys and bad guys and the duality within each of them. So I think that you'd be really interested to see how she wrote them and then how the characters identified with themselves, because it was pretty mind-blowing. I mean, it's fantastic read. So it's one of those where you're done with the book and you really don't know who is a good guy and who is a bad guy, but you still feel fulfilled. So you don't have to necessarily define him. You can just let his actions define him. And if he's doing good things, if he's a hero, but he happens to break someone's heart. Is he a bad guy, or is he a hero that happened to break someone's heart?
But what makes him a bad guy is the jewelry thefts that he's probably been involved in.
Wait, wait, could you say that again? Because the what stuff he was involved with?
Jewelry theft.
Oh,
He's
okay.
a demon jewelry.
But she said
Maybe.
probably.
Probably. Hey, it's a victimless
evidence-
crime.
Unsubstantiated.
That's right.
You can't handle the truth.
We'll put Agent Borne on the case.
Yeah.
The FBI has been unable to prove it up to this point. So it makes, for an interesting, it makes it interesting when I write him, because I'm like, okay, what's he really, because he disappears for, periods of times. And what is he off doing during those times? I don't know. And makes me wonder what he's up to.
Well, that's interesting though, because it's almost like a latent conflict that's running throughout the whole story that we don't quite have access to, and you can either give us access, or that might carry over into the next one.
I feel
so
like
far since I don't know, the readers don't know.
Yeah, and I feel like it's very much being dived into with the show The Boys on Amazon Prime.
I've been watching that.
Oh, is it good? I
know
haven't.
Rowena's watched it, and you're done it, right?
Yes, I'm done, and I recommend it to everybody.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
And it's just there's superheroes, but man, the stuff they get up to, it's like, oh my.
Is it as good as the Umbrella Academy?
It's better.
So far, well, I don't know. Personally, I actually like the Umbrella Academy better, but that's just me.
I haven't seen the whole thing. I'm only up to episode 5 right now, so maybe once I finish the series. But it's a really interesting take.
Yeah.
Do you know the premise of it, Jason?
Yeah.
I've seen the trailers for it, but I haven't started watching it yet because I didn't know if Heather would watch it for me. It looked like it was going to be a lot of action, and sometimes she's like, eh.
Actually, it's not super heavy on the action.
Yeah, there's more drama to it.
A couple episodes in, but
is there a scene where they dance to a Tiffany song at any point?
I don't know.
Oh, because I love that part. I think we're alone now.
The music choices are pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty
it's a good. It's kind of a good thing. You're confused. Like, are the good guys really good? Are the bad guys really bad? Like, you don't know. You are kept guessing until the very end.
It's suicide to go up against the soups.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was in the trailer.
That's the thing. There's the trend towards gray characters has been really prevalent lately. The do they, don't they? Do you know if they're actually worth saving or if they're actually the bad guy in disguise? There's a lot of misdirection lately with character creation.
Yeah,
it's pretty much like it doesn't matter if you're a hero or a villain. Everybody has baggage.
Yeah.
Right? There's the reasons why they do things, why they think they're right. And they're so convinced.
It's like Sirius Black says, we all have light and dark inside us. It's the choices we make, Harry, that define who we are.
Yeah.
Just like for Jake, even though Jake is clearly a bad guy because of his awful name.
Like, superpowers, I'm guaranteed to be evil. I will use it for the bad purposes.
What superpower would you have if you could have one, Captain?
Oh, let me see. Invisibility.
Mm.
Oh, you could play that one a lot of ways.
Yeah. I would take
purpose. For what purpose?
A lot of secrets when nobody knows you're around, and I pretty much have that ability already. I mean, so it's kind of natural.
She's a lurker.
No one ever notices me. It's awesome.
I see that little green button pop up beside your name now and again. I'm like, huh? She's lurking again.
Which is actually the other day I was on. I had Facebook on Google Chrome. And I just popped over, and all of a sudden it said at the top that the red light was on for my webcam, even though I had it covered with a sticky note.
What?
I'm going, okay, I did not turn that on.
I've got the one that's built into my Mac, covered with a piece of black electrical tape. So, and then this one that I use, I just plug and unplug it. So,
Yeah.
like, yep, nope.
That it flips down on mine.
Nice. What about you, Rowena? Are you paranoid about people watching you through your computer like I am?
Yeah, I usually keep the duct tape over the lens on all my computers, tablets, everything.
Oh, nice.
There it is.
Is that LSD?
Not
I
quite.
want to find out
He's-
about the superhero powers. What
like,
would you guys all choose?
Tune in and drop out.
Oh, good Lord. All right, Jason, what's your superpower?
Oh shit, Katie, I would take invisibility, no question, for sure, because I could get up to all sorts of good or bad. I mean, I could go. It wouldn't matter. I'd be like Jake. I could be a bad guy and a good guy.
Oh, I'm guaranteed to be bad. It's fine. I've come to terms with this. I have admitted it and accepted it, which is why they'll never give me the powers.
If somebody said use your powers for good, I'd just be like, well.
Really? All right, Derek, let's hear what your superpower would be.
I've often said that it's a good thing I chose to be good, because if I went bad, I'd be really bad.
Yes.
So it's a good thing I chose to go good.
I always liked how in the show Heroes, back when it was actually the early seasons.
Oh, I missed that show.
How Nathan Petrelli could touch anybody with an ability and absorb their ability for a time.
Oh, nice.
That would be awesome.
I don't remember
Like,
that.
I wanna fly.
Who was Petrelli?
He was played. Oh, his last name is kind of hard to say. Oh shoot,
I don't remember him.
he's also on This Is Us. He plays the dad.
Milo Ventimiglia.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Probably butchered that, but
Okay.
Here's the real thing though. Like, let's say you had that power. It takes you forever to figure out how to use your own power.
Yes.
So how are you going to figure out how to use somebody else's power? You'd have to like really be around them a lot to truly use that power you've absorbed.
Exactly.
Well, and
It'd
how
be
are
fun.
you going to know who has powers?
True. I guess I'd be touching everybody.
Right. That's okay in Canada. It's all good.
You. No. Sorry. You're creepy.
Just trying to steal powers, not being creepy. It's all right.
That's just it.
Oh, PJ,
Sorry,
what do you
I'll go
think?
now.
What's your superpower?
Healing.
Oh,
I'd like to be able to heal people.
okay. Look
That's
at
useful. That's super useful.
wow, look at her choosing an altruistic power. Come on, PJ, you're making us look bad. We look like a bunch of Jakes over here.
If you charged for it instead of just giving it away, then it could be bad.
I like it. I like it.
Or I could heal the villains and not the good guys. So I could go either way with it.
You want me to heal your cancer? Okay, $10 million. Well,
that
you-
Got it.
of Supernatural, when the angels, they charge people to heal them. They pretend they're faith healers and then they charge people.
That's messed up.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wow.
Isn't that what doctors do already?
You got it. Doctors in America, brother.
Yep.
Although what I should have said was, I'm a
Hat.
writer.
Oh.
Oh.
What's your superpower?
There you go.
I like
there
it.
you go.
I like it. Well, Rowena, God, I love saying your name. It's just fantastic. What is your superpower?
Telepathy.
Yeah.
I want to know people's secrets for leverage.
Okay. All right.
But,
then.
unlike Sookie Stackhouse, you got to be able to shut it off because it would drive you mad if you just randomly heard everything.
This is true. This is probably why I would need to go to the X-Men school. Need some Professor X training.
Right? You'd have the tinfoil cap, but it would actually work.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And hopefully I won't go bald using it.
Well, so Agent Borne and Rowena, tell me about the the Michigan Dogman story? Because I am from Michigan, and Rowena, are you from Michigan as well?
I am not. I'm from West Virginia.
West Virginia. Okay. So how did you end up writing about a cryptid from Michigan, and how did it work between you? How did you do the writing?
I was going through the list of all the cryptids that are around, and when I saw the Michigan Dogman, I thought, you know what, I've never heard of this one before. So I did a little digging, and even just with finding images for a book cover, I found what I thought was the perfect iteration of that creature, and it just kind of started from there. And what I've been doing so far in this mini series is come at the monsters from a scientific point of view, like how could it fit in my superhero universe already. And then like earlier, Rowena was saying how she had read my books and she started thinking of her character called Thatcher, which she told me about because she loves spies. She wanted to do her own spy series. And I just thought it was such an awesome concept of why not do a crossover and therefore have her also enter the author world. And I really wanted to do that. So when I contacted her, I said, hey, I want to do this. I want to have you with me. What do you say?
That's very cool. Very cool. Now, Rowena, has working with Agent Borne given you some more confidence to maybe expand into some of your own novels or short stories? Because you said this was your first publication. Are you feeling like, okay, you've got this and you can keep moving forward?
Absolutely. Like Derek gave me the push to want to continue Thatcher's story and
Who's
his
Derek?
own. I'm sorry.
Just give away his secret identity.
Sorry. See, this is why I'm not the main storyteller in the spy series. But he gave me the confidence to continue on with my character Thatcher, and now he's getting his own spin-off series that I'm currently working on. And just the fact that it's out there and people are responding to it, it gives me a great big confidence boost. And every day I go to write now, and it's not like, oh my God, who's going to read this? Nobody cares. Now it's like, I cannot wait to finish this chapter. What am I going to do for the next chapter? This is so awesome. So it's really helped. And I recommend team ups for everybody.
Yes, more team ups.
I didn't mean to be the only one on the screen. There we go. That's better. That's better. You know, I'll tell you what, and that bit of confidence, whether you're getting it from a partner or whether you're getting it from your editor or your publisher or from even a beta reader who's glowing about your work, that can be the difference between you finishing a project or even starting a project or doing nothing at all. Because if you're starting out and you're immediately getting negative feedback or no feedback at all, sometimes it can really kill your mood. And sometimes, I mean, authors are strange people. I mean, we're weird people. You know, we can all admit that. And sometimes we need a little bit of adrenaline to the heart to get us off our butts and get our fingers moving on the keyboard. So I think that's an amazing thing. And I'm glad that your partnership has really invigorated you to go further with your writing. I think that's amazing. Are you going to do more team ups with Agent Borne then? More crossing over?
I think we're leaving that open ended. Like we're both pastors, so it just if the occasion.
Well, let me tell you this.
For it.
So I have an idea for you two. And you've already done Michigan. You've done Michigan Dogman. So this might be have to be something you circle back to someday. And I actually mentioned this to Rebecca Jonesy too, because she really digs the cryptids. But there is another cryptid from Michigan called the Melonheads.
What?
The Melonheads. And I live about 15 minutes away from where this originated. I've gone and toured the grounds where the Melonheads were said to have roamed. And it is actually pretty fascinating and horrifying, because this is a cryptid that has its roots in, at least supposedly, real historical fact, which makes it fascinating to me. So if you look up melon heads and I believe it's Felt Mansion, so melon heads and Felt Mansion, you'll be able to get some good info on it. And I'll tell you what, I think that you guys would really dig it. It might be a good project for you.
I only have one question about that.
Yeah.
Are they
What?
So for the melon heads though, is there like a hybrid seedless melon head?
Well, you'll have to find out when you do your research. You're an author, man. You just make that shit up.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Jason, I was just there. Why didn't you tell me this crap?
I'm sorry. I totally forgot. We were so busy when you were here. We were going. Well,
damn it!
I was at work. That's the problem.
Oh yeah, there you go. And I was waking up at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. My wife.
Damn time changes.
My wife is a go to bed at like 9:00 kind of gal, and ever since Katie came to visit, I go to bed first, and she stays up till like 2 a.m. doing who knows what she does that late. I'm like, dang it, Katie.
You guys look like you had a lot of fun though.
We did. It was a good time.
The best visit. Let me tell you, hands down, best visit of the summer. I've adopted them. They're my family now.
It was so much fun, and we are going to repay her by bringing all of our kids and crashing into her place at some point soon. So
family Thanksgiving.
Yes. We got to look. Katie, Captain Trainwreck, you got us off topic again, man. Jeez.
Well, Katie, while you were there, did you see any dog men?
There were many dogs,
but
I didn't see any dog men.
Well, although I do sit on the couch and the dogs pile on top of me.
That is true.
So that might make me the dog man.
All over. He had like one growing out of his neck at one point. It was great.
Oh no, are we losing Rowena? Oh, there she is. She's back. All right.
Julia was there too. Why didn't we tell Julia?
Oh yeah. Sorry, Julia. I didn't want to scare you. Wait, I'm still not getting comments popping up on my side though, Katie. I feel this is some kind of conspiracy now.
There's something weird going on with our connection today. I'm barely seeing any comments, so it's kind of weird.
Rebecca, we need you to step up your game here. Hi, Cat.
Kitty.
Oh. She says, "Meow." What did she say? I couldn't see that one.
That was an old comment. That was from back when we were talking about what superpower you would have.
Oh, yes. Well, even if you have cancer, PJ is going to cure it for you.
There we go.
There you go.
Yes. Oh, good stuff. Do you guys ever write about terrible illnesses in your books or no?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No?
I mean, if you consider having an ability, an illness.
No.
That's
not an illness.
No.
Unless it's killing you. Like you've got Deadpool, right? That's
true. Or Venom,
Yeah.
Okay.
I've
All
had
right.
my character near death. I almost killed off my main character in one book, but I knew she'd survive. But that was due to being torn apart by a wolf claw.
Ooh.
So no, that was not a major illness, but that sounds like something I can use. I did. In my last book, I had my one of my off-scene characters die of breast cancer.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay. I would like to do something with like smallpox. I think that'd be a sexy way to wipe out some people.
Sexy is not the word I would use.
Come on, little tiny pimples that join into one and slough off.
Nope, that is the opposite of sexy. I think we need to have Rebecca have a meeting with you about what is and is not sexy.
Yeah.
I'm actually listening to a new podcast right now. It's new to me, and it's called "This Podcast Will Kill You," and it is two graduate student epidemiologists that are talking about all sorts of crazy infectious diseases, most of which that we'll have heard of, but they also try to add a little bit of humor into it, so it's not just like sitting through a lecture, but it is so much fun, man. The Black Death episode, oh, it was great. It was amazing, and
I gotta save that soundbite right there. The Black
I
Death
work
was
in a
so great.
hospital, so
That's a Black
probably
Death. There was a
close.
oh, Agent Borne, can you do a good Italian accent?
Spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah, now can you say that a Black Death? It was a great.
That the Black Death. It was a great.
Yes, I love it. I knew I could count on you. I knew it.
Now you want German?
Yes, let's do German too.
That Black Death. It was great.
Yes. Oh, well, when my youngest was about 1 year old, and so she was starting to learn to speak, but she would all of a sudden start shouting gibberish at us, and it really sounded like she was speaking another language, but very, very angrily, like some kind of Slavic language, and it was frightening. Actually, I thought she was possessed a few times, and that was in the house that was haunted, Katie.
Ooh.
That's the house that I wrote the cold room about. Yeah, so maybe she was.
She was speaking in tongues.
That could be. That could be. Oh man.
That's like one time my wife's family went down to the States and the southern states, and my father-in-law is very proper British English. So he goes up to the till and he says, "I would like a number 2 with a biscuit." And the lady just goes, "You want a what?" He goes, "I would like," he repeats the whole thing. She's like, "You want a biscuit?" "I want a biscuit." "A biscuit?"
What? Rebecca Jonesy says smallpox is only sexy if you're into zombie porn. Zombie porn can't be a thing, is it?
It is. I guarantee you it is.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. No, they'll make porn out of anything.
What are you paranormal romance people doing?
Enough.
Well, think of the movie Warm Bodies. That was based off of a book. I mean, that's like zombie romance. It's just one step away from,
That's light romance, though.
Look, it's a very slippery slope, okay?
There's a sequel to that story, isn't there?
I heard, yeah.
It was actually a series, I think, and they had meant to make the other movies, but there was some kind of fallout between the author and the producers.
No, that's too bad. I like the first movie. Never read the book, though.
It's on my list. It's one of the ones I found interesting enough that I will read someday. I just haven't got around to it yet.
Katie, do you still read books?
Piling up.
Do you still read books, Katie?
I do. And not just beta reading books. I do still read actual books every so often, too.
Katie is so stinking busy all the time. Last I heard, you were still slogging through Game of Thrones. Are you still on it?
Yeah. As I look over and see it on my desk. Yeah. It's still there among a couple others that I need to finish. I tend to get like a few chapters in before I'm called away for something else.
Yeah. Well, I am happy to say that after Monday, I can read whatever I want again. It's going to be amazing. My last library show. Yes. My last library show is Monday. No, it's a good thing because they are so much fun, but the preparation is not fun. I've got all these authors' books that I've got to read, and I'm a really slow reader. So I've got tons of stress going on about it because I'm like, if I don't finish this in time, I can't craft a good interview, and then it's just going to fall apart. And I always get them done, but oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm ready for a break. I could pick up Michigan Dogman and just dig into it. Yeah, that'll be good stuff. Maybe get a couple of paranormal romances from Katie over there. I'm sure. Aren't you on Pretty Little Vampire 6 now? Something like that?
No, I'm working with Jane. We're on the Running from the Devil series.
Okay.
And we've just turned in our first book to the editor, and the second one is due beginning of October. So we are like having to rush and get these done. But it's co-writing, so cut the book's, word count in half. We can both make this happen.
Well, I've heard that co-writing is actually more work than just writing. Is that true or no?
Depends on who you're writing with, I think. If you're both kind of on the same vision, it really tends to flow a lot faster. And I found with, at least with Jane, we're both on the same page. We usually start with that small outline, not a hard outline, but a small outline so we know what the direction is. And I kind of hopscotch over chapters when I get the inspiration, and she's great at filling the gaps in. So it's been really good. I can throw the chapters out there. She bridges the gap, and then we go over and we do our revision run afterwards.
Interesting. And Agent Borne was shaking his head that he doesn't think it's tough. Right? You guys seem like you had a great working relationship, so that's awesome.
Yeah, we both have kind of the same mentality when it comes to how we write our books. Like she mentioned earlier, we're both pantsers, so we kind of just go with the flow. But like one of us would write a chapter, send it over, they would look through it and add what they wanted to add, especially for dialogue for characters. So
yeah, I think the dialogue was really the hardest part for us because his characters were already established and I'm bringing in a new guy. So it was kind of hard when it was my turn to craft something. I'd be like, well, would his character say this? Does that even fit into the overall arc of his series? Like, how is this going to work? So that was really the only tough spot we ever had, was figuring out dialogue. But even that was easy.
Yeah. And even with just the character of Thatcher, like he's brand new. So for her, like she wrote a chapter with him in it. And then I'm going, okay, this is a brand new character. This is her character. How do I do him justice?
And I have to say, with co-writing, you have to have a thick skin because you're not always going to agree on how a chapter is going to go or how a character is going to pan out. So you can't have your feelings hurt if your idea doesn't gel with the overall idea. I mean, you got to really be able to just be like, okay, on to the next scene. And we were both really good about that. Nobody had temper tantrums. Nobody had hurt feelings. I was really happy about that. Yeah.
At most, it was really just going back in and saying, well, you know what? I could add this in now that, the story was nearing completion. Because there was a scene that I added in actually right near the end that I had been thinking about for a while, because the first time all three of the agents come across the dog man, it's by that, it's by a certain location. And spoiler warning. And I thought, it'd be great because there's a gas station near this location, is I need to have a fight inside the building of this gas station. So it adds a bit of humor to the action as well. So, but I'm hoping that Jason, once you read The Michigan Dog Man, you can still sleep at night since you live in Michigan.
Well, I was going to say, and I know Michigan pretty well, so I'm looking forward to seeing what you did with my state here. So,
now, what part of the state is the Michigan Dog Man from?
It's a secret.
Most sightings usually say the northwest part of Michigan.
Northwest into the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah.
That way it can roam over into Wisconsin if it wants to.
Yep.
Okay, so you're safe then, Jason.
Yeah, I'm good down here in Holland. We got windmills. Windmills are like kryptonite to dogmen.
There you go.
Yeah.
What about you, PJ? Have you ever written with another author as a co-writer?
No, I have not. I've taken part in a couple of collaborations where we each wrote stories and, had them, short stories, and then had them published as a total book. First one, we actually tried to play off each other's characters and add them into our story so that there were characters that went from one story to another, but there was no overall story arc. They were individual stories. The second, we dropped the idea of trying to carry our characters over from one story to another and just use the characters we had written in the first collaboration. So it was more a collection of stories than any real carryover of characters. What was interesting was the different writing styles of everybody who was in the book. There were 9 of us who ended up, contributing a short story to this book, and the range of styles was, from one end of the spectrum to another, although heavy on romance, which mine was light on romance as normal. But there's only so much you can do with 10,000 words. You can write a good story, but you can't get the depth of a mystery, as much in 10,000 words as you can in obviously 70,000 words or so. So it was an interesting experiment. Unfortunately, it didn't sell a lot, so we didn't continue that effort. But it was fun while it lasted.
That's cool, and that's a whole nother animal. Writing short fiction like that. It has many challenges, like you said, trying to get enough depth into the story that it feels like a story to the readers, but without going over a word count. It's a real challenge.
Right. Yes. Trying to develop your characters and a plot, and make it satisfying in 10,000 words can be a challenge. I put as much work into that book, that story, as I probably did into some of my 70,000 word stories, because you don't have the luxury of developing scenes like you can in a longer work of fiction.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to be putting out a collection of short stories coming out in January, and so I've written a fair few shorter works now, and I'm always critiquing them for, okay, is there enough in this? Is there too much of this in this? And I just finished writing one this afternoon, actually, just before I got on here. I was putting the finishing touches on it, and it was one where I needed really good character development, but I needed to do the whole thing in less than 5,000 words. It's like, okay, well, how am I going to do this? and I think that it ended up turning out well. But it really is. It's a juggle. Are you going to lose character development? Are you going to lose plot? What are you sacrificing? And I think that finding that balance for the really great short story artist is tough. And that's why if you pick up a book of short stories by somebody like Stephen King, because he was my favorite when I was younger, his short stories are really not short stories like any of us would think of them. They are not 10,000 word short stories. A short story for Stephen King is 100 pages maybe, because he doesn't want to sacrifice any of that, and it's easy to see why. But yeah, so short stories are tough, but they are fun, especially if you can get a whole collection of them together.
That's flexing a totally different type of muscle, right? In short fiction.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It really is. Yeah, but there are people that are absolutely fantastic at it, and I really admire that, because I like it when a short story really ends with something that just kind of like just really takes you aback, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that was good. That really hit me, because you cared enough about the character that whatever they did to you at the end really gets you. So,
right.
Yeah.
It's actually been interesting too, because once I get all 6 of these mini-series books done, I'm combining them into their little own
box set.
Huh?
I said box set.
Yeah. Of the 4 that I've done so far, including the one with Michigan Dogman, all 4 have added up to just over 100 pages. So like each one on average has been about 25 pages on Microsoft Word. So it's interesting to see how much I can actually put into these books.
Is it about 10K on each of them, or 10, 15K?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good length. I actually really enjoy reading that length of a story, because I have so little time now to actually read a story. I usually listen to stuff. But 10, 15K is perfect, because you can read it in 1 or 2 nights.
Yep.
And really have that fix of, okay, I finished an entire story here. I'm good.
Yeah, because each of them on Amazon so far has either been, like a 90-minute read, or hour and a half, or 2 hours. It's
How many hours is 90 minutes, do you think?
Well, hour and a half. I know.
I'm sorry, I had to.
As I was saying it, I was like, wait a second.
He does that Canadian math.
Yeah. It's getting late up here. It's 9 p.m.
What is the conversion rate up there for minutes to hours?
Carry the one. Now that I'm writing a short story on my superheroes meeting the Kraken.
Ooh, nice.
I'm very excited to do the Kraken. I've just teased it last night or a couple nights ago in our author takeover, and even there's a blogger, Caffeine and Legends, Cassie Greco. She loves anything Kraken, and as soon as she found out, she was going ballistic.
Have you tried the Kraken rum?
No, I have not yet.
I haven't either, but it has a really cool looking bottle.
Yeah,
It's good.
and every time you open it, you just go, "Release the Kraken."
Oh, I like it. I like it. Oh, well, guys, it's 9 o'clock. Well, it's 9 o'clock over here, which means it's probably like 1400 out wherever you guys are. So
Oh no, don't do military conversion. Then you lose it completely.
so we are at the end of our time here tonight, but you guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, everybody.
Well,
Thanks
thank you
for
for
having
having us.
I liked it how you all did that at once. That was wonderful.
We didn't even rehearse that. That's great.
That was great. And for all of you out there watching and commenting, even though I can't see the comments, I'm assuming there is several dozen inappropriate comments from Rebecca Jonesy, which we appreciate. We appreciate you guys watching or listening and commenting. It really makes us feel loved, even those of us who can't see the comments. Yes, but that's it for this week. So if you enjoyed the show, shoot us another comment that I won't see, and be sure you tune in next week on Saturday for another episode. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Feeling.